Good morning. Welcome to 7 to 9 Minutes in the Word of God. My name is Brian. I'm one of the pastors at Converge Church here in Omaha, Nebraska. Try to get centered here a little better. The webpage is convergechurchomaha.org. Please like the Converge Church page on Facebook. And the YouTube channel is 7 to 9 Minutes in the Word of God. We're going to continue our look at the subject of the Christian and mental health, and specifically the Christian and suicide. This topic is sensitive, it's controversial. Some call suicide a selfish act. Others say it's a permanent answer to a temporary problem. Both these statements assume that suicide is reasoned and a thought out decision to end one's life. William Stanford writes, suicide is neither reason nor rational, and mental illness is the most common cause. And we'll look more at that next time. Now, over the centuries, the church has wrestled with this topic. Like, what are the spiritual consequences of those who committed suicide? Some see suicide as the unforgivable sin that condemns a person to hell. There's nothing in the Bible, though, that supports that claim. Others have harsh words towards those who committed suicide or are considering suicide. For example, pastor and author Erwin Lutzer wrote these words: "Those who in their own lives die as failures, their last act was murder." Now, I like Erwin Lutzer. I've listened to his sermons for years, and that quote is dated. It goes back to 1997. I wonder if his view on suicide may be different today because we know so much more about mental illness. Certainly, no one should advocate suicides. We should do everything we can to prevent it and to help those who have the warning signs. Now, as we examine the Bible, there are people in the Bible who wanted their lives to end. Moses is an example. Job. Jonah, that angry prophet, he wanted God to take his life. Those are examples. Elijah the prophet is also an example. He wanted his life to end. He was a prophet of God in the northern kingdom of Israel in the 9th century. He ministered during the reign of the evil King Ahab, and even more evil, his queen Jezebel. King Ahab led the nation astray by introducing Baal worship in 1 Kings chapter 16. Now, Baal was a false god, but he was a storm god, so the fruitfulness of the land depended on rain. So in chapter 7 of 1 Kings, chapter 17, the word of God came to Elijah that predicted a drought in the land. This 3-year drought set up a big showdown at Mount Carmel between Elijah, the prophet of the one true God, and the 450 prophets of the false god Baal in chapter 18. So before a great crowd of people, each side would offer a sacrifice without lighting the fire. It would be up to their God to light the fire. So for a good part of the day, the prophets of Baal pleaded with their God to send fire, but nothing happened. Then Elijah drenched his sacrifice with water to prove that there were no tricks involved. Then Elijah prayed, and his sacrifice was consumed by fire from heaven. When the people saw that, they fell on their faces, and they said, "The Lord, He is God. He is God, the Lord." And then the prophets of Baal were executed. And then it rained, and the drought was ended. And the one true God sent the rain. Now, this takes us to chapter 19. In verse 1, King Ahab told his queen Jezebel what happened on Mount Carmel, and that Elijah executed all the prophets of Baal. And so Jezebel, the queen, sent this message to Elijah with these words: "So may the gods do to me, and more also, if I do not make your life one of them by this time tomorrow." In other words, you will be dead by this time tomorrow, Elijah. Now, we know from chapter 18 that Jezebel had other prophets of the Lord put to death. So this was a very serious threat. And Elijah's reaction is in verse 3, chapter 19. He was afraid, he arose, and he ran for his life and came to Beersheba, which belongs to Judah, and left his servant. Now, wait a minute. Elijah was afraid, and he ran for his life? Didn't he just have the courage and the faith to take on Ahab? and the 450 prophets of Baal, and basically the entire nation of Israel? Where was that courage? Well, it's gone. Now he's running for his life. Uh, by the way, it's 120 miles from the top of Mount Carmel to Beersheba. He ran 120 miles. It's a 6-day walk normally, but Elijah ran part of the way, maybe most of the way. Notice also that Beersheba is in Judah, located in the southern kingdom. And so Elijah was so desperate and so afraid to get away from Jezebel that he ran from the northern kingdom into the southern kingdom. And he took his servant, who I'm sure wasn't very happy about going on this long journey in such a hurry, but he dropped his servant off at Beersheba. Then in verse 4, Elijah went a day's journey into the wilderness. He sat under a broom tree, a very shady bush, basically, a bush with many branches. And to Elijah, this was a perfect place to just lay down and die. As a matter of fact, in verse 4, he prayed to God, "It is enough now, O Lord, take away my life, for I'm no better than my fathers." Take away my life, O Lord, I'm no better than my fathers. After those great accomplishments, Elijah just wanted God to take his life. In his mind, all hope was gone. He longed for death. One writer described Elijah as a suicidal prophet. You know, depression can occur after great success. Elijah was on a string of great successes. He took on the prophets of Baal and King Ahab. He called down fire from heaven, and it happened. The nation of Israel turned back to God. A great revival took place. He prayed for rain after a long drought, and it rained. And now Elijah was afraid. He was depressed. He was suicidal. We're going to come back to this topic, the Christian and suicide, next time. We're going to take another look at it, and we're going to see that there is a link between suicide and depression. If you're struggling with depression, if you have suicidal thoughts, would you call somebody? Would you talk to your pastor, talk to a friend, a counselor maybe at school, or your therapist, your doctor? Please seek out help. Contact me if you need to talk, and we can communicate through messenger and all that. So until next time, stay in the Word of God. Be prayed up. Seek out your church this Sunday and worship. And until next time, may the Lord bless you.